Unfortunately, we encounter impolite people every day. Perhaps you may have even been considered impolite at one time or another. Maybe it's not necessarily impolite as it is clueless as to the fundamentals of social etiquette. My name is LeFave, and I would love to tell you about the fundamentals of social etiquette. Now you may ask yourself, what is social etiquette? And basically, it's the way we make people feel comfortable around us. That could include simple things such as the way we greet each other, the way we make personal eye contact, the way we allow for personal space, and it could even include the way we hold the door open for people. We talk to people on a daily basis, but the funny thing is, not everybody knows the proper way to greet somebody. Many times, the first impression is a lasting impression, and it all starts with a proper handshake.
The best way to greet someone professionally or socially, it really is a handshake. And it's that first point of contact. And so when you're trying to make that first impression, you want to make sure that you're pleasant. It's not just the contact of the hand. It is an interaction of the face and the eyes. It's a pleasantness. There's an energy. There's an excitement. When you are approaching a handshake, you as the younger individual should always defer to the older. That's appropriate. Men should always defer to women in professional and personal settings. They should not initiate. They should allow the woman to initiate to maintain an air of appropriateness. But when you actually make the contact, it's good to have a good, solid handshake. Not too hard, not too soft, but just good, firm, so that they know that there is a connection, that they've been touched. Really, that's the whole purpose, is to make contact and to touch someone. Because there's something about a physical touch that unites two people. And it says there's a camaraderie here, there's a relationship here, there's something that we can build off of.
Well, I think before we get into procedure, I think you need to be in the right frame of mind. I think that a handshake really reveals a lot about your personality. If you have a firm but not tightening grip type of, wrenching type of handshake, it emulates that you have confidence in yourself and you're genuine in your attitude. And what you say is what you believe, and I believe that just the feel of a handshake, whether it's 1 or 2 seconds, reveals all that. You certainly don't want to give a handshake that's weak, because it shows that your personality or what you represent is weak as well. So make sure that the handshake is fully into the hand. Make sure that you look into the person's eyes and welcome them or greet them. And whether it's a male or female, I believe that the strength of the handshake pretty much should be identical.
Taking that into consideration, there are a few other things you need to keep in mind. And contrary to popular belief, the best handshakes are definitely a simple handshake. Handshakes should never be a 20-step process. Now, just to show you guys, this is the proper way to greet somebody. Extend your hand and go straight to the thumb. Grasp firmly, but do not overpower. After the initial handshake, the next thing you should keep in mind in social etiquette would definitely be personable space.
Well, I think that 3-4 feet is sufficient for a social space in a business setting. I think that's plenty. That allows you to still handshake when both people extend the hand out, and at the same time doesn't offend anybody. Space is pretty important. It could also be portrayed as a friendly gesture as far as the closeness of it, but it also can be portrayed as something offensive as well. So obviously, friends, you can stand closer in a social space setting, whereas somebody you meet for the very first time, you stand off a little bit until you actually get to know the person. But I think it's always important that you read off the person how comfortable or not comfortable they are depending on your space. Some people are touchy-feely people, they want to grab arms, or they want to hold on to a handshake longer, they want to be able to reach out and touch you. Into consideration when you're talking to folks. Try to make the person feel comfortable, but at the same time, especially if it's a female person, don't get too close. And you can tell by the person's face that she might blush, she might step back, or she might actually have the boldness to actually say something.
Personal space is a very important issue, and we all have different amounts of personal space. Typically, a personal space would be 18 to 24 inches, and if you're going to err on the side of caution. And I would say a little bit further back, especially in this day and age, we don't want to give someone a wrong impression by violating their personal space and making them uncomfortable. And you have to have a sense of discernment. If you're talking with someone and you're in a comfortable distance for yourself, but you sense some uneasiness on the part of the other party, just take a step back. And if you sense them relax, you know, okay, I need to give them a little more personal space. So it takes some discernment, it takes some judgment, interaction. There's not a standard, I have an 18-inch ruler, I'm going to be this far from you and everything's going to be fine, or 24 inches. No, it's a guideline that has at its heart letting the other person be comfortable in the communication situation.
Now the general rule to keep in mind is to give somebody about 2, maybe 3 feet of personal space. That way you're not too close to them to where it looks like you're invading their personal bubble, and you're not too far away to where it seems like they have something contagious. Something else to keep in mind when you're talking to people is eye contact. Maintaining eye contact can show that you have confidence, and can show that you're listening to somebody, or it could just show that you have a serious staring problem. Now speaking of staring problems, I gotta show you guys something. Follow me real quick. Oh, and for the little kids, you might want to close your eyes for the next scene. As I was saying, sometimes too much eye contact can make people uneasy. Now when I say too much eye contact make people uneasy, I'm not only talking about the people you're looking at, but also the people around you.
Eye contact portrays that you're sincere and that you're real, that you're certainly not stretching the story. It also means that you need to also take in consideration the culture that you're in. Now, there are some cultures that believe that looking in somebody's eyes is disrespectful, but yet on the other hand, there are some cultures that believe that if you look too long into somebody's eyes, it's impolite. So you have to take in consideration the culture that you're in, but also that you're paying attention to someone. You don't actually have to stare into their eyes. You can stare over their head or around their head, but I think eye contact certainly portrays that you're interested in what they have to say.
Eye contact is very important because if you are interacting with someone and you can't maintain eye contact, it gives an impression of either you're insecure, unsure of yourself, or you're not upfront and honest. And so you want to look them in the eye, but you want to stare at them because then that makes them uncomfortable, because sustained eye contact is unnatural. And so when you make the handshake, make sure you look them in the eye, but then give the other person some time to relax, and so the eyes are playing in and out of the interaction, in the conversation.
See what I mean? Hey, guys. Hey, buddy, you alive?
Where are we?
So when you're interacting, the eye contact establishes a relationship, the handshake establishes a relationship, and the personal space sustains the relationship so that it gives that individual freedom to interact.
Wow. Feels like you need a cold shower, doesn't it? Anyway, let's talk about another aspect of social etiquette, and that would include walking in public. When walking in public, it is very important to be completely aware of your surroundings. I'm pretty certain many of us have been in this situation before, and maybe even this next situation. You're just walking along, minding your own business, when someone makes a sudden stop right in front of you, causing you either to run over some other innocent bystander or the person who did the initial stop. Hey, you alright? Hey, come on, you got it, buddy. You're good, come on, get up. You alright? You're good, just go. You know what? I think we're gonna have to go over a few simple suggestions, that way we can all avoid this type of mess. Walk with a purpose. Keep the flow of traffic, and please, avoid abrupt stops. Now I understand, sometimes you do have to stop when you're walking in public, but just move off to the side. That way you don't become a human speed bump. It's a lot like driving a car. Sometimes you have to stop and move off to the side of the road. There's another scenario to keep in mind when you're walking in public, but I'm going to let you guys see for yourself. Now, when faced with this situation, just think of it as driving a car and keep to the right. If there is a case where it's a guy and a girl in the same situation, guys, be a gentleman and let the girl go first. While I have the guys' attention, there's one more aspect of social etiquette that we should consider, and you guessed it, holding the door open for ladies. Of course, it's nearly impossible to hold the door for everybody during busy times, but you can at least try and help. Here are a few precautions to keep in mind when holding open the door. How far away are they? And how long will it take for them to reach the door? If you see that it's going to be a long time before they reach the door, you don't have to stand there forever. You know, guys can also be polite to one another by holding the door open for them. That way they can get through at some point in time. There you have it. Hopefully you're now informed about the fundamentals of social etiquette. Just remember the basics when it comes to proper handshakes, personal space, eye contact, and also little things such as walking in public and even holding the door open for each other. That way others around you will feel a lot more comfortable, and so will you. We'll talk about personal hygiene in the next video.